Hey guys, it's Kimberlyn. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a sit-down video, which I haven't done in a very long time. We also have my dog Harley here joining us. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my top 10 favorite romance books. And I'm very excited to be doing this because I want to do it again in a year time. See if it's changed, if new books have been added to the list, if some of these have been taken out. I've done a video on my channel before where I gave you guys book recommendations from many different genres. So this is kind of like a recommendation video, but a lot of these are very popular books and you've probably read them, or maybe you haven't read them and you've been wanting to. This is not going to be in any specific order. I do have like a top 3, top 2. Many of these books I've talked about so many times on my channel, but I just wanted to do a quick little sit down video for you guys this week and get a little away from my little daily vlogs because it can get repetitive, I feel. Let's dive back into my roots of reading. I did read quite a bit of romance books last year, but I didn't enjoy a lot of them. I would say 2024 there was a lot of books that I did not like, or they were very mediocre and just not worth putting on this top 10 list. So some of these I read in 2023. Some of them were like my favorites of 2024. Sorry if you can hear the leaf blower. This is my only time this week I can film. We have like 20 minutes to do this. And hopefully you can read them. Hopefully you have read them maybe, and we can share our thoughts down in the comments. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get started. In no particular order, but this one is number 1. I've talked about this book so many times on my channel and I will always recommend it to people, but like nowadays it's very like pick and choose. Like maybe I'll recommend it to you. I have to know who I am recommending it to, and that is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read this in 2022, haven't read it again, and I want to so bad. I really want to reread this book, but I'm terrified of reading it. I really want to be in a good space and like really put the time and effort to only pay attention to this book. I don't want to like hype it up so much and then like you read it and you're like, you know, it really has to be a specific audience, I feel. But it's not just fully romance every single page like an Elsie Silver book might be. Not very rom-com-esque. There is just some more like fiction but also like real life stuff in here. It's the book that I know the ending and I don't want to reread it because the ending is gonna happen either way. That was so real. Anyway, this follows a girl named Emma. She is married to her high school sweetheart, Jesse. They are a very travel type couple. They want to explore the world as a young couple. And on their first wedding anniversary, Jesse has this assignment for his job that he has to go travel to. And his helicopter ends up going missing. Just like that, he's gone. Don't know where he is and he's like dead. You know? This is her high school sweetheart. This is her whole entire world. So her life is changed forever. She finally decides to, you know, pick up her life back. She moves back to her hometown, just starts to get things going again for herself. All of that tragedy stuff that happened and like the upcoming of her and her husband, that all happened in her 20s. So now in her 30s, you know, she's picking back her life up again. She runs into this old friend of hers named Sam. They end up having something going on, end up falling in love with each other, and they end up getting engaged. So another romance happens. I know it's a love triangle, but bear with me, okay? This is the only love triangle book that I have tolerated. So just when Emma and Sam get engaged, she gets this phone call. Somehow, some way, she finds out Jesse, her husband that died, is actually alive. Homeboy never died. Now she has to basically pick between her husband, Jesse, and her fiance, Sam. And it's like, who is really her one true love? I don't know how to explain it. It's so much more than that. I want to sell this book out so well. Because it's a love triangle, it's very hard to sell. I think if you have ever been in a relationship, had the ups and downs, had the breaks, the breakups, and moving on with your life, read this. That's the type of audience. My favorite. I know I'm talking about this is a 5-minute clip of me just talking about this book. I need to get a move on. If you think that it's not for you, don't read it. Maybe even the plot, maybe you don't think you'll relate to it, but the plot sounds interesting. Like, what do you mean he's been alive this whole time? Read it. This is the number 1, my favorite book of all time. I know I'm scared that if I do reread it, it's not going to be my favorite book, but I digress. So the second book that we have is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I read this last year and I talked about it again on my channel a few times. I just really love this book. Another trope that is very hard to sell for people to read, but it is accidental pregnancy, but done so well. So Out on a Limb follows this girl named Wynn and this guy named Bo, and they have a little one-night stand. One thing led to another, bam, she's pregnant. That's kind of basically the story, but it's just so much more than that, because you kind of can see the obstacles that they go through, how like they just met, but then this connection that they have, and she's just like, you can be involved as much as you want, like whatever, and he is just like all in it. And you kind of can just see a lot of like the friendship stuff that goes on too, which the second book to the series came out too, Out of the Woods, which is two characters in this story, their love story, and they're already together in this book. I'm so excited to read that book as well. It was just one of those books that I needed at the time, of just like something so simple but kind of complex, because it is such a different type of trope that isn't very popular. I want to reread this again too. There you go. I recommend. The next book, I don't think I talk about too much on my channel. I kind of forgot about this book, but when I was looking on my shelf, I like got transcended back into the time when I did read this, like end of 2023, and that is Swear on This Life by Renee Carlino. This girl named Emmeline, I believe, she's a author, and she was kind of needing some inspiration and kind of feeling down, and her roommate tells her, hey, you need to read this book, it is so good, and it's by this author J. Colby. And she starts reading it, and she realizes it's about her. It's about her life, it's about her childhood, and it's about her and her childhood best friend and how they fell in love with each other, and then a fallout happens. She's like reading the first chapter and she's like, okay, interesting. Second chapter and she's like, this is about me, this is about my life, like what is this dude doing here writing about me when we haven't talked in years? And the thing is, the guy, he wrote his book in her perspective. When she was reading it, she was getting kind of mad because she was like, this isn't true, all this stuff, and it was kind of like, why are you telling my story? And like, he didn't even ask her, and the only way for her to just calm herself down and be like, dude, what are you doing, is to talk to him. And they haven't talked to each other in years, and you will see in the story of his book that he's writing why they haven't talked. So you kind of are reading two books into one. I want to reread this book again too. Like, some of these books I haven't read in a really long time. It's just such an interesting concept, and very cool how you're reading two stories in one, because you'll read the story that he wrote and then what he thinks is her perspective of it. There are some trigger warnings in this book, but there were just some things that were very, very sad that happened in this book. It's a romance book for the romance of childhood best friends to lovers, but it really is a lot of more fiction, I would say. Maybe this title of this video is a little bit misleading, but I definitely recommend. The next book is a part of a series, and it's the last book in the series, but it's my favorite, and that is Final Offer by Lauren Asher. It's the thickest, longest book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. This is the series all together. The first book follows Rowan and Zara, the second book follows Declan and Iris, and the third book follows Cal and Alana. It's kind of like Disneyland, basically. So the three brothers, their grandfather gave them a will. Like, the only way that they could get their inheritance, their will, their portion of it, is if they complete the task that the grandpa gave them. So each book, one of the grandsons is following the task that they were given. For Cal to receive his inheritance, he was tasked to spend the summer at this lake house, the family lake house, and then he has to sell it. So the love story follows him and his childhood best friend. They had like something going on like 6 years ago. It does explain in the back of the book that he is a very high functioning alcoholic and has that problem, was a cause of why their relationship had a downfall. And then 6 years later, he is given this task, but Alana is part of being an owner to the lake house. So he kind of has to talk to her and be like, hey, I gotta spend the summer here, and then we gotta sell the lake house. So you kind of just see that story unfold. It is a very long book, but I think it's just such a book that is just, it's worth reading. So beautiful to see, especially Cal's growth of being this raging alcoholic, falling in love with Alana all over again and all of that. And there is a child in this book. I'm not going to spoil it. It is one of the main factors. The child is already grown too. My favorite, I think that the Dreamland Billionaire series is definitely worth reading, especially to get to this book. The fine print is a very rocky book to get started with, but Terms and Conditions is also good as well. That one was my favorite, but there were some moments where I was like, ooh, this man is a little toxic. But Final Offer, I am offering it to you to read. Next book, I don't talk about too much on my channel for some reason, but that is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. This is the only Catherine Center book that I've ever read. One of them is famous and one of them is The Bodyguard. And it's very funny because you would think, it's not that funny, but you would think that the male main character would be the bodyguard and the girl is famous, but the roles are actually switched. She's the bodyguard, he's the famous one. He kind of has this stalker. That's why she gets put on duty to be his bodyguard. His mom does get sick, so he travels back home to her to be around her, be around the whole entire family. He doesn't want his family to know that he has this stalker because he doesn't want them to be worried, especially the mom. More worried than everybody already is because the mom is sick. He tells everybody that the bodyguard is his girlfriend. So fake dating happens. If you guys have been watching my videos for a long time, you know that I struggled with enjoying fake dating books, but I enjoyed this book so much. Like, I'm literally gripping it. It was just so fun, so cute, so like interesting to read because normally the guy is the bodyguard. It's just one of those, like, the more time they spend with each other, the more they realize they actually do like each other. You know how the story ends. Next book is part of a series as well, and that is the second book to the Chestnut Spring series, Heartless by Elsie Silver. So this follows Cade and Willa. Cade is the brother to the guy in the first book, Flawless, and Willa, I believe, is the female main character from the first book, Flawless's best friend. Pretty sure. This is a single dad and nanny trope, my favorite romance trope. So good. And it's an age gap. He's 13 years older. Cade has this son named Luke. You kind of follow how she gets the job to be a nanny. They kind of get annoyed with each other, but at the same time they can't resist each other. One of the struggles I had with this book though was that he made the age gap a really huge reason to not want to be with her, even though everything else was like checking off his boxes. He felt judged from other people. It wasn't even like to him kind of weird. I don't know, it was so interesting, but he just couldn't keep his hands off her. Like, this book was just, it was so good. The best book in the Chestnut Spring series. I think you guys should start this series if you haven't already. The next book is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is actually part of a interconnected standalone. The first book is Part of Your World, and this is the second book. They talk to each other through letters at the beginning of the book. Like, that is their form of communication. It's in the hospital. They're both doctors, and that was like the only way that they were able to talk to each other. The main female character, Brianna, she has this brother who is having kidney problems and needs a kidney donor. So I don't know, you kind of just see how she interacts with that portion and more emotional side of the book. I think, I'm trying to remember, but I think she runs into the main male character but doesn't like him, but then doesn't realize that that's who she's writing to. And the reason why they're writing letters is because the main male character has anxiety. So it's very interesting because normally it's like, oh, the girl has anxiety, the girl is scared, but seeing male representation and also seeing anxiety representation in this book is very informative to read and just very relatable to read. Really enjoyed this book. I think during the time it was so enjoyable. I feel like at the time of reading this versus now, like, my anxiety levels are so different. I've been able to regulate it like no other. Better than I would have many months ago. Definitely recommend this book. The next book is also an Abby Jimenez book, and that is Just for the Summer. This is the third book in that interconnected standalone series that I was just talking about. This one came out last summer, and it's so good. If you are a acts of service, wait, is it acts of service or is it words of affirmation? I forget. I think it's acts of service. This follows Emma and Justin. They're both cursed. It's like every single person that they date, it doesn't work out, and then after they break up, the person that they dated gets like with their soulmate, the love of their life. They get married. They end up finding each other on Reddit because Justin was sharing his story. They end up reaching out to each other and they're like, what if we fake date each other so we can cancel out our curse? So then after we break up, we'll both find the love of our lives and get married. And then obviously, like, that doesn't work out and they end up getting with each other. Like, that's not a spoiler, it's a given. And you see that romance, but you also see more into the story. Just like in this book, you see more of the main female character's relationship with her brother. You'll get the romance in the book, but then you'll get more emotional sides to the story and more real life stuff. So in this one, Justin is taking custody and guardianship over his 3 siblings. See that follow, and then you also see Emma and her relationship with her very toxic mother. Such a good story and definitely a summertime read. Like, look how cute the cover is. Second to last book is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I think it was just the vibes. Like, I don't even like remember so much about the book, but the vibes of reading it, it is such a summer book, and I'm posting this video now so that you can get into the summer spring vibes that are coming up. This is a best friend's brother trope, and it takes place in Prince Edward's Island, and I just think the vibe of it, the way that Carly was able to describe the setting, the location where everything was taking place, it made me want to go. It made me want to go so bad. Like, being able to imagine something like this so well just shows how descriptive it was and how the vibes were. I don't even know how to explain it. So I read this last summer and I think it was definitely the perfect time to read it. If I read it any other time, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. So it says Lucy is a tourist vacationing at a beach house on Prince Edward Island, and Felix is the local who shows her a very good time. Lucy doesn't know that Felix is her best friend's younger brother. How do they not know is a question that I was wondering too, but they also go by like different names. So she didn't know that her best friend's brother's name was actually Felix. Like, she knew him from a different nickname, you know? Their chemistry is there. They have, you know, their reasons not to stay and not be with each other. And her best friend, Bridget, is getting married and she's having this little crisis thing going on that is kind of introduced towards the beginning of the book and is said throughout the whole entire book, but you don't find out towards the very end why Bridget, the best friend, is having this struggle with her marriage, or she's about to be married. Lucy and Felix have their thing going on and they can't stay away from each other, but they're also trying to still like be around each other for the sake of Bridget. So you kind of follow that, and I think it's just such a great summer novel. So the last book that I'm going to recommend, I feel like I also don't talk enough on my channel about, and that is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is more of a fall read. Like, look at the cover. It follows this girl, Clementine, and she has this aunt who passes away, and her aunt gives her her apartment. She walks into the apartment one day and she sees this man in the kitchen just doing his own thing. But the catch is that man is 7 years in the past and Clementine is 7 years into the future. And then there are times where she'll walk into the apartment and he's not there. And it's kind of like a hit or miss of like when they will see each other. And I really like how in this book they don't question the magic so much. Like, it's just introduced and it's kind of like accepted. That's just what makes the story go along a little bit more, because if it went more into detail with the magic, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. It kind of just gets straight to the point. And so you kind of see them like become friends and like fall for each other, but like they're like, we're not gonna see each other. We're in 2 different timelines. It kind of is pretty sad. I definitely recommend this book. It's very captivating in a way that it's so different. No romance story has ever been where I'm gonna walk into this apartment and the love of my life is 7 years in the past. Like, what? So you kind of see how like she talks about her aunt a lot too in that dynamic, and I haven't read this in a very long time, but it's such a good book. So I definitely recommend it, and it's just one of my top, clearly. So those were all of my top 10 favorite romance books. Some were more on the fiction side, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, all of these books have a very special place in my heart. I love talking about them and love recommending them to friends and to you guys. Hopefully I was able to talk about the books in a very well way. I have a very hard time talking about books, especially since most of these here I haven't read in years. Maybe I can also do another version of this, but for more like mystery thriller type of books too, because I've read quite a handful of those as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I hopefully will see you guys in the next one. Bye!